In the valley of Elah, two armies faced each other. The Israelites and the Philistines were prepared for battle. Fear filled the air, especially on the Israelite side. Why? A giant stood with the Philistine army. His name was Goliath. Goliath was huge. He wore heavy armor and carried massive weapons. No one dared to face him. Day after day, Goliath shouted challenges at the Israelite army. Goliath's voice boomed across the valley. He mocked the Israelites and their God. "Choose a man to fight me," he roared. "If he wins, we will be your slaves. But if I win, you will be our slaves." The Israelites trembled. Who could defeat such a giant? Goliath's challenge went unanswered for 40 days. The Israelite soldiers were paralyzed with fear. They had never seen such a terrifying enemy. Their king, Saul, was also afraid. Where was their hero? Far away, a young shepherd named David tended his sheep. David was small, but he was brave and strong. He had killed lions and bears to protect his flock. One day, David's father sent him to the Israelite camp. David's brothers were soldiers in Saul's army. David heard Goliath's challenge and was surprised by the fear he saw. "Is there not a God in Israel?" he asked. "I will go and fight this Philistine." David's words shocked everyone. He was just a boy. How could he possibly defeat Goliath? Ignoring their doubts, David went to a nearby stream. He carefully chose 5 smooth stones and put them in his shepherd's bag. David knew that God would help him. He had faced danger before, and God had always protected him. With his sling in hand and faith in his heart, David approached Goliath. He was ready. Section 5. Facing the giant, David's unwavering faith. In the ancient lands of Israel, a young shepherd named David stood out not for his size or strength, but for his unwavering faith and courage. This is the story of how he faced the giant Goliath with nothing but his trust in God and a simple sling. King Saul tried to give David armor and a sword, but they were too big and heavy. The armor clanked and weighed him down, making it impossible for him to move freely. David knew that these were not the tools he needed for the battle ahead. He had never fought with such heavy equipment before and felt uncomfortable and restricted. David would face Goliath with the tools he knew, his sling, his stones, and his God. He had spent countless hours in the fields protecting his flock from predators with these simple tools. He trusted in his skills, and more importantly, in the divine protection that had always been with him. As he picked up 5 smooth stones from a stream, he whispered a prayer, asking for strength and guidance. Confidently, David walked towards Goliath. Each step he took was filled with purpose and determination. The sight of the giant did not intimidate him. Instead, it fueled his resolve. He knew that this battle was not just a physical confrontation, but a testament to his faith and the power of his God. Goliath laughed when he saw David. The giant could not believe that the Israelites had sent a mere boy to fight him. His laughter echoed across the valley, filled with scorn and disbelief. To Goliath, David was nothing more than a joke, an easy target that would soon be crushed. "Am I a dog?" he roared, "that you come at me with sticks?" Goliath's voice boomed as he mocked David, waving his massive weapon in the air. His anger was palpable, and his disdain for David was clear. He saw the young shepherd as an insult to his might and power. He cursed David and threatened to feed him to the birds, but David was unafraid. With unwavering eyes, David stood his ground. He knew that the battle belonged to the Lord, and no amount of cursing or threats could shake his faith. He declared that it was not by sword or spear that the Lord saves, but by his power. And with that, he prepared to make his move, ready to show the world the strength of his faith. Section 6. Words of Defiance, a Shepherd's Confidence. David stood tall and looked Goliath in the eye. The young shepherd, with nothing but a sling and a few stones, faced the giant warrior who was clad in heavy armor and wielded a massive spear. The contrast between the two was stark, yet David's confidence was unwavering. He had faced lions and bears while tending his sheep, and he believed that this Philistine would be no different. "You come against me with sword and spear," he said, his voice steady and clear. The crowd around them fell silent, hanging on his every word. The Israelites, who had been cowering in fear, began to feel a glimmer of hope. David's words were not just a challenge to Goliath, but a declaration of faith. "But I come against you in the name of the Lord Almighty, the God of the armies of Israel, whom you have defied." David's faith was his armor, and his trust in God was his weapon. He knew that the battle was not his alone, but the Lord's. His declaration was a testament to his belief that God would deliver him from the hands of his enemy, the God of the armies of Israel. The soldiers behind David, who had been paralyzed by fear, began to stand a little taller. They saw in David a leader who was not afraid to face the impossible. His courage was infectious, and it began to spread through the ranks. David's voice rang with confidence. He was not just speaking to Goliath, but to everyone who was watching. His words were a rallying cry, a call to arms for those who had lost hope. He was reminding them that their strength came not from their weapons, but from their faith. "This day the Lord will deliver you into my hands," David declared. His voice was filled with conviction, and there was no doubt in his mind that he would be victorious. He was not boasting of his own strength, but of the power of the God he served. His declaration was a promise, not just to Goliath, but to all who were watching. "And I will strike you down and cut off your head." David's words were bold and fearless. He was not intimidated by Goliath's size or his weapons. He knew that the Lord was with him, and that gave him the courage to face the giant without fear. His confidence was not in his own abilities, but in the power of God. This whole assembly will know that the Lord saves not with sword and spear. David's voice carried across the battlefield, reaching the ears of both the Israelites and the Philistines. He wanted everyone to understand that the true power did not lie in weapons or physical strength, but in the Lord. His words were a testament to his faith and a challenge to those who relied on their own might. "For the battle is the Lord's, and he will give all of you into our hands." David's final words were a declaration of victory. He knew that the outcome of the battle was already decided, not by human hands, but by the will of God. His faith was unshakable, and his confidence was a beacon of hope for all who heard him. The battle was the Lord's, and David was his chosen instrument, and he will give all of you into our hands. David's words echoed in the hearts of the Israelites, filling them with a renewed sense of purpose and determination. They knew that with the Lord on their side, they could face any challenge. David's confidence was not just his own, but a gift to all who believed. The shepherd's faith had transformed a moment of fear into a moment of triumph. Section 7. A sling and a stone, the battle begins. Goliath was furious. He charged at David with a roar. David ran towards the giant, his sling already whirling. With a swift movement, he sent a stone flying towards his target. The stone hit Goliath in the forehead. The giant stumbled, his eyes rolled back, and he crashed to the ground with a thundering boom that shook the valley. David had won! God had given him the victory. Section 8. Victory for the underdog. Goliath falls. The Philistines saw their champion fall, and they panicked. They turned and ran. The Israelites, filled with courage, chased after them and won a great victory. David had saved the day. David's victory was a testament to the power of faith. He knew he couldn't defeat Goliath on his own, but he trusted in God's strength. And God gave him the courage and the skill to win the battle. Section 9. A legacy of faith, David's enduring impact. The story of David and Goliath is a reminder that with God, all things are possible. This timeless tale has been passed down through generations, inspiring countless individuals to believe in the power of faith and courage. David, a young shepherd boy, faced a giant warrior named Goliath with nothing but a sling and a few stones. Despite the overwhelming odds, David's unwavering faith in God gave him the strength to defeat Goliath. This story teaches us that no matter how insurmountable our challenges may seem, with faith, determination and trust in God, we can overcome them. No matter how big our problems may seem, God is bigger. The mountains that stand before us, the vast seas that seem endless, all pale in comparison to the power and majesty of God. When we are faced with difficulties, it is easy to feel overwhelmed and defeated. But David's story reminds us that we are never alone. God is always with us, guiding us and giving us the strength to face our fears. Just as David stood before Goliath with confidence, we too can stand before our challenges with the assurance that God is on our side. When we trust in Him and have the courage to face our giants, He will give us the victory. It is not always easy to have faith, especially when we are faced with seemingly impossible situations. But it is in these moments that our faith is tested and strengthened. Like an athlete preparing for a race, we must train our hearts and minds to trust in God's plan. The journey may be difficult and the path may be steep, but with each step we grow stronger in our faith. And when we reach the top, we will see that the victory was worth the struggle. David's story continues to inspire us today. His legacy of faith and courage is a testament to the power of believing in something greater than ourselves. As we reflect on his story, we are reminded that we too can make a difference in the world. Whether it is through acts of kindness, standing up for what is right, or simply having the courage to face our own giants, we can leave a lasting impact on those around us. David's story is not just a tale from the past. It is a living example of what it means to live a life of faith. He reminds us that courage is not the absence of fear, but the decision that something else is more important than fear. In our own lives, we may face situations that fill us with fear and doubt. But like David, we can choose to focus on our faith and the greater purpose that God has for us. Courage is about taking that first step, even when we are afraid. It is about trusting that God will provide the strength and guidance we need to overcome our challenges. When we make the decision to prioritize our faith over our fears, we open ourselves up to the incredible possibilities that God has in store for us. Just like David, we can face our giants with confidence, knowing that God is on our side. Each day presents new challenges and opportunities for us to demonstrate our faith. Whether we are facing personal struggles, standing up for our beliefs, or helping others in need, we can do so with the assurance that God is with us. David's story is a powerful reminder that with faith, courage, and trust in God, we can overcome any obstacle. Let us carry this message with us as we navigate the journey of life, always remembering that we are never alone and that with God, all things are possible.